Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Sandy Bob Show for September 3rd, 2019. The title for today's show is, If You Snooze, You Lose. Before I begin today's show, I want to remind all listeners to sing New You, You, You for 15 minutes in the morning and again before bed at night. You can then call on the Real Guides to show you what is real, and they will answer any question you may have. I want to emphasize that knowledge, faith, belief, hope, and obedience will get you nothing but endless lifetimes of reincarnation, which do nothing for you. The Real Guides will help you with your awareness of the all of life. Unless you have awareness of the all is and the real side of life beyond creation, you will always remain in creation. Today's show is a continuation of last week's show, The Things You Know That Are Not So, where we discussed the role of agreements and assumptions in life. We will have open lines for everyone to share their experiences with agreements that they have made in the past and now understand the implications and consequences of those agreements. But before we get going, I want to share some critical things you need to know. First of all, you must become aware that you are a great being of light from the real side of life and have allowed yourself to get stuck in endless cycles of reincarnation. At each reincarnation, when you are reborn into a new body, your memory has been erased by the lords of karma, and you have to figure out all over again why you are here and what life is about. The difficulty we have here on Earth and other similar worlds is that we are reborn into a pre-programmed existence that has been arranged to keep us here forever. Although we have total free will to end our cycles of reincarnation, we unknowingly make agreements to stay here. That is what today's show is about, to show you how you can know what is real and what isn't. All right, let me quote Duane the Great Writer. Sandy?
Free will is number one. As this then becomes the razor's edge for everyone, most will choose to stay unaware and fall back into more lifetimes of the same old routines of the conqueror or be conquered. The yin and yangs, the good and the bads, the causes and effects are merely the lower elementary stages all of us have to go through and are by no means related to the ultimate journey of real freedom. If a person wants to wait until they are so-called dead to find out where their life is, then that is their right to do so. But for those who have the courage to explore and listen to the real guidance, they will be shown and eventually taken to the hidden universes of real light and perfect freedom, while they are still seemingly alive here.
Thank you, Sandy. As I pointed out in the last show, we are so brainwashed to stay here on Earth that we do not realize that we do not have to die. We do not have to age. We do not have to obey the controllers who think they have power over us. We, as great beings of light, can step right out into the great universes of the all-is, bypassing all the gods of world religions. We have the right and power to do so. So from now on, let us make new agreements to move on with our lives and step out of these cycles of reincarnation. We have free will and the power to do so at any time. Of course, since we have completely forgotten who we are and have no idea how to go about this, We must start by singing New You for 15 minutes in the morning and again at night and watch our dream visions. The real guides are here to help us and show us the way, most often showing up in our dreams. Excuse me. But do not make the mistake of thinking that the real guides are replacement saviors, as they are not. They will not save you. You must save yourself by having the courage to work with the real guides and helping you to wake up to what is real. It is a hard thing to alter habits formed from hundreds or even thousands of lifetimes. In today's show, you should get an idea of what I am talking about so you can follow through and see how many assumptions you have made that will keep you in reincarnation. From the get-go, if you have no idea of what the all of life is and what the universes beyond creation are, you are automatically bound to stay in creation. Ignorance gets you nowhere. You must proactively seek out and explore what is out there and learn to see it. As Duane the Great Writer says,
there is no real truth on earth, only personal truths and references. To the literalized world of educated people from invented institutions, these writings and sayings then become some sort of ultimate truth to so many. This is because the vast majority do not understand the creation they are in, and that creation is not the ultimate as it has been thought to be, such as the invented ideas and literalization of gods controlling the earth and all the people on it. Creation is a process we go through and not the true reality life is. Almost everyone has forgotten their true source. The true reality life is. The all is. Anyone can have any truth they want, but real truth is the allness. People become lost in creation and are always thinking there is a better way to resolve what is always taking place in their life and on this planet. And when they cannot, they ask the invented gods for help. But the only way to resolve anything totally is to recognize the all is. It is so that the gods of man will answer. But the situations one has will once again return in this life or the next. There is no other way out of this designed matrix than to recognize the all is. Even with the ideas of, in God we trust, and the fake money that is created, this world is still self-destructing. It is not a matter of figuring out what life is as much as it is to figure out what life is not. Real guidance and a real education is more so than what is found in any invented institution of literalized thought. The allness is real, and the gods of man are merely substitutes for those who do not know about their real awareness. What each person decides to refer to has been a bearing on their life overall. As long as people keep referring to their created gods, they will stay lost, as they now know, as they now are with all their questions and misunderstandings for lifetimes to come. It is more than obvious what human history is based upon, and that deception from the authoritarians who promote the God stuff and the gods from the astral and mental realm. You have basically two choices. You can stay with what has been established and created and is known as sacred and traditional, or sing the New You sessions and let life show you what is real now. You can keep deciding you already know what you do, which is mainly based upon the past, or you can let Rebisar and the real guides show you what is real now. Only the real risk takers will know. Everyone else is sitting ducks for the authoritarians and the gods of man. Those who stay with the authoritarians and the gods of man are controlled by their fears and the tap-lining masters of reptilian-controlled corporations. You can learn to see for yourself in your dream visions all the tap lines you have in your astral body. Most people are so afraid to face themselves, but until you do, you are held here. The word God means control, as this was the idea when the reptilians created the humanoids and then created politics and religions to control them as human slaves. Their tap-lining words are mainly Aum, Hu, as this can be easily verified by Rebisar and the Real Guides. It has been the authoritarians and the gods of man that have created all the confusion and destruction that has taken place in human history. The authorities rule with their laws, and so do the gods of man, and most people keep bowing and kneeling, worshiping and praying to them, and their lives are still the same emotional drama as has always been for untold eons. And while all of this boring human history drama has been taking place, the all-is pure and real, just like the sun shining in the sky as it looks down upon the poor, miserable, and misunderstood inhabitants of all the round worlds in time and space. Yet, almost everyone keeps doing the same boring routines lifetime after lifetime and dragging all their misery and memories with them, and at the same time forgetting why they are doing so and not remembering when they created all their hardships. So, instead of each person looking to themselves and paying attention to what life is showing them now, they instead keep doing as they always have done and look to the rule-loving authorities who have invented the gods of deception to control people and to keep them dumbed down. Everything has its place in human history, and we can all learn from it, but very few can see the all-is and provide the real reference that is needed to recognize and perceive the true reality life is, the allness. Sing the new sound, the new you, and watch your dream visions.
Well, thank you, Sandy. Yeah, be sure to sing the new you sound, the new you, and watch your dream visions. Well, thank you, Sandy, and thank you, Duane. Now I want our listeners to join in and tell us about your personal experiences that you have had that have helped you to wake up to the falseness of creation and wake up to the true reality of life. Tell us about agreements you have made in the past that would have kept you in reincarnation. I will start out by giving a couple examples of assumptions that are so subconscious that we don't even give it a second thought. My first example is when we are young and married, that we should show our love to our spouse and be a responsible person by going out and buying life insurance. We think everyone is going to die sometime, so we should make sure our family is taken care of financially. This is a subconscious assumption that we have to die, and so we choose death. But in reality, we do not have to die. We can instead work with the real guides and step out of creation into the real universes of the all-is. The real guides you will be working with are still alive after hundreds or thousands of years because they chose life over death. What about an accident? When you sing the New You song, you can ask the real guides for protection. Another similar assumption we make subconsciously is that we must grow older every year and eventually we will die of old age or some disease like cancer. We even go so far as to celebrate this stupid assumption by having birthday parties starting at an early age. but we have a choice to decide what our physical age is going to be. I would be happy with somewhere around 25 to 35, but anything older than that is ridiculous. We have the power as great beings of light to live any way we imagine. So get real and stop making these bad decisions. It's all about agreements we make. If you don't think you have power over your own life, allow me to share the story about a secret government experiment done in the 1990s. Someone discovered that in the state of Nevada there was an undamaged town left over from the atomic bomb testing that was done in the 1950s. As you may know, the government built these little towns that were complete with houses, diners, post office, gas stations, cars, hardware stores, and everything that was common to a small town of the time. The houses were fully equipped with refrigerators, ovens and stoves, bedrooms, TVs, radio sets, and curtains in the windows. These were fully functional towns. During the atomic bomb test, dummies would be placed throughout the town to simulate full human activity, and the bomb would be detonated to see what would happen. In this government experiment, the project leaders wondered how powerful human assumptions and subconscious agreements really were. So they checked around for a group of 80-year-old volunteers who might be interested in moving into this small town and reliving the past of the 50s. They got enough volunteers to man the town as it would have been at the time. The results of this experiment made it classified. The controllers do not want you to be free. As it turned out, when these volunteers decided to live in the era of the 1950s, they subconsciously decided to revert back to the way they had previously lived in the 50s. They were much younger then and in good health, full of life, and with a positive outlook of the future. After 3 months of living in this town, all walking canes, walkers, and supplemental oxygen tanks were tossed away, and by the end of 6 months, the average physical age of the volunteers dropped from that of an 80-year-old to that of one in his early 50s, fit and trim. As you can see from this experiment, you too can decide to live on with your life. It is your choice what kind of life you want. Right now I want our listeners to share their stories of assumptions and agreements they have made and what they later found out. So it's open lines. All right, anyone want to share what they have experienced in assumptions and agreements? So please go ahead.
Hi, Bob and Sandy. Great show, great information. This is Dean Val from Huntington Beach. I was at the bank this morning, and it was to open up a nonprofit, a bank account. And the teller asked me, well, what's this nonprofit about? And I said jokingly, well, we're trying to save the world. And someone in the back of the line said, oh, I'm trying to do that too. So we got a conversation started, and it was quite interesting because there was like about 10 people in the line. Everybody's kind of duh. They were just in their la-la land, kind of, going to cash a check or make a deposit or whatever they're going to do, get a loan. And we were talking about neat stuff. This guy was in the space, formerly employee in the space program doing R&D work, and he's working on a magnetic fuel cell for cars and cell phones that is clean and safe. And I told him a little about what we're doing, and it just, it was just great that it's like, oh, someone else is like woken up too, to a certain point where he doesn't agree to, just what's going on. I mean, obviously this fellow too has got the knowledge, at least, about what's going on in the world with the controllers. He knew a lot. So it was like we were able to connect on a certain level because we didn't agree to what was going on. And that was just very obvious. But to the people in line, it was like, what are these people talking about? So that's just one example where agreement can take you out of a preset, like reality even, like a preset, like mindset or self-convinced position that you've created for yourself. And it's very, very real.